Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here, welcome back to another counter-side video. Alright, if you guys haven't purchased the weekly things from the business card, make sure you guys do so. Alright, because I've purchased it immediately. I think the APT course, right? There's one right here again in Planet Mall. I think it's this one. This one is going to be dependent on whether you want them or not. But I do need a lot of APT cores right now, trying to build a few more extra units because most of my units are banned in PvP. But that's not the topic of today. Today, we're gonna talk about the top characters, SSRs that we should be all waiting for in terms of our C server, right? So, I think I did one video yesterday talking about the top 5 Awaken units. And I thought I want to make like a top 5 SSR, but dang, it's really hard because there's just so many SSR right now, like compared to Awaken units, right? So, yeah, instead of doing the top SSR or anything, we're just gonna have a look at a list and prepare you guys of what's to come ahead. Now, special shout out to Dunboom because he made this list over at arca.live. So it's a website that I think most of the Korean players have been using before Counter-Strike came out to the global, right? So yep, special thanks to the Korean players for contributing. So let's have a look roughly at what we have right now, like based on their recommendations in terms of the characters, meta, etc. So right now you can see, clearly I've talked about these two before. If you guys are not familiar who this is the Awakened version of Seoyun, and this is the Awakened version of Na Yubin. Now they are both really insanely powerful. Apparently Na Yubin is insanely good in PvP, while Awakened Seoyun, she is good in both PvE and PvP. So these two are the ones that you want to go for, followed by a few others on this list. Now as you can see, now we have someone that's like these 6 apparently are not as good as these 2. Like this, if you can only choose a couple of Awaken units, you can only choose 2, pick these 2, alright, if you care about the meta, that is. But if you care about waifu, stuff like that, in terms of the second priority, these are the ones. Alright, so Replacer Queen right here, and I think this is Ministra, and we have, I think her name is Yuna if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. So this is Lee So-yeon, Hilde, Awaken Yumina. So they are all equally strong, alright. All the Awaken units are really strong, really broken. But in terms of the weaker Awaken units, we also have these two, which are Lee Jisoo and Replacer King. Now, they are not weak to the point that they cannot be used. They are still kind of strong compared to most SSRs, right? But it's just that they are not super meta, and they are just situational in most cases. So if I'm not mistaken, she's given out for free in the KR and the Taiwan server. So she will be the first Awaken character that you can obtain for free. Like, just log in and do the event etc. So definitely make sure you guys play during that time, whenever she will be released in the future. Because if you miss out on an Awaken unit, it sucks, man, because they are just so strong. Alright, jumping into SSR. Now we get to have a look at... Now these characters, they are the debuffers. Alright, they deal a lot of debuff to the enemies. So they are really strong. And most of the time you want to use these characters on bosses. Alright, especially the raids and stuff. So of course we have Chifuyu right here, which all of you know, Seoyun. Now these two, they can be used in PvP of course. And then we have Frederick right here, which we are still yet to obtain, but we'll get this guy in the future. We have Terminator. I don't think I have him yet. I have Stronghold but not Terminator, but apparently this guy is pretty strong. Soldier class. And there's 3 characters that I think these 2 we can't obtain yet, which is Dash and Tarask. But Roy Burnett can be obtained, and Roy Burnett is very good against raids, right? Because it amplifies the damage that the boss will receive from you. So make sure you guys at least have him or build him up to at least level 50 or something. So he's going to be really strong. And then going into the special category of debuff, alright? So we have what we want to call characters that can seal enemies' skill. Alright, so John Mason, if you're not familiar, he has this skill that prevents the enemy from casting spells for like 8 or 6 seconds or 8 seconds. And then we have this character, Monet, I think. She will be released in the future, not anytime soon for us. And of course we have 2 more characters, pretty broken, which is Alex and Yensing. Alright, so these... they can remove buffs. They are both striker class apparently, very cool. And you definitely need to look out for these characters for sure. Alright, these 3 characters are very specialized and very good in helping you save deployment costs, or some of them basically have the ability to increase your deployment costs. Now I'm sure most of you know Lin Xian. I highly recommend building her. I'm still working on mine for sure. And then we have Choi Ina, and we have Sigma, which we will get hopefully in the future. So these 3 characters definitely helps in PvP. They are very niche, but again, Very useful because they save your deployment costs, meaning that their skills can allow you to place more units, right? Alright, and then we have supporters. So Young Harim is by far, look at this, it's highlighted right here, she's the top supporter. Alright, so she's just the best. Now in terms of the rest, they can heal for sure. Alright, I'm sure all of you know Chinatsu, Nanahara, Chinatsu, I think, Evelyn. So they both can heal, but Evelyn is gonna be more budget friendly and more accessible to most players. I do have plenty of her. I definitely will build her eventually. And of course, if you do not own any of these two, Aries Esquede, I think that's how you pronounce her name, I don't know. She's quite strong in healing. This lolly is pretty strong. And Claudia Nelson is also one of the better healer if you are looking for a healer. Ironsight is a soldier that heals mech. Alright, if you are looking to heal mechs, if you have a Titan, so this guy can be quite good. Alright, and now have a look at a couple of units that are good in terms of buffers. Alright, they buff your allies. So these are the units that you want to look out for. Hilde, I'm sure all of you know, she definitely gives insane buff to counter. Alright, if you use a lot of counter units, I think she gives attack percent and hit. And then we have Shinja, she buffs attack speed. And we have Maria, I think she is going to come soon, probably one of the more recent units to come. She's apparently buffing damage. I thought it's a good dude at first, but apparently it's a female. Alright, so Katy Wade, again she buffs attack speed for rangers. So if you use a lot of rangers class, she's definitely really good. We have Ji-hoon right here, very good in buffing damage for rangers and snipers, which is going to be much usable. Sylvia Cooper, she is good. She improves hit and of course evasion for mechs. We have Na Yubin, the regular version, not the awakened version. So apparently she will boost damage and defense for strikers. And these are 3 more soldiers that definitely helps buff teams in terms of if you're running a soldier team, definitely you want to have at least one of these two. So first up we have Minwoo. Alright, apparently this dude buff defense for all the soldiers. And then we have Eddie Fisher. I'm sure all of you know. Eddie Fisher does help with counters a little bit, but he's mostly focused and built around the soldier team. And Kang So Young, we have yet to obtain her. She was supposed to be here, at least based on the prediction, but apparently maybe she'll come next week. Alright, so damage and defense buff for soldiers only. Now having a look at the top tier SSR. Now these are the very top tier of SSRs that will be usable in a long run. If you invest in any of these units, for sure they are safe to invest. Alright, if you care about PvP and PvE, like mostly PvP, because I think PvE you can just use like R units and they are still going to work really good. Look at this, we have 4 snipers. Alright, I'm sure all of you know Xiaolin and Sanae. Probably these are the 2 that are available to us. But we have yet to obtain Adele. So she's really strong, very strong sniper, and Lyudmila. So what you can notice is all these snipers, most of them, alright, not all, most of them has 4 deployment costs except for Sanae. So I think she's just going to be the cheapest one out of all of them. And moving on, in terms of supporter, we have Regina, and then we have Lily right here. So they are going to be the top, pretty much the top units being used. And defenders, we don't have much SSR defenders right now, except for Stronghold, right? But in the future, we're gonna have Seraphel and Liumi. I would highly recommend building her. She's really strong. I see her being used a lot in the Korean meta. She's a very strong defender. If you play through the story, you've seen her before, probably, but you haven't seen her in action or in combat yet. And yeah, everybody's favorite, Carl Wong, we have Gaeun. These are all really strong. I think her name is Yori, Lee Yori or something, quite similar. Elizabeth Pendragon, we already have access to her. Now these are all pretty strong meta units. Now Rosaria, apparently she will appear in the future. She's quite strong as well. Veronica, now the Burial Inspector, I think. She is apparently really interesting. Now the Twin Lolly, they're gonna be really strong. And man, I've seen them a couple of times. They are really tanky. I don't know what their names are. 2 deployment costs, which is just crazy. I've seen them being used a lot. And if you don't care about counters, max, you have 4 options. Alright, Titan is gonna be super future proof. If you have a Titan, don't worry about the Titan falling off. You know, you're gonna have, it's going to be forever meta, I think. And then you have Janus, which is a jet, Queen Jet Avenger style, this tank looking thing, and another aeroplane gunship. I'm not sure what their skills are, but apparently these are the 4 max. If you're looking to build max team, they are really strong. but this thing has 5 deployment costs. Dang. Alright, let's talk about top SRs that are being used a lot as well, because these are the characters that are being used very often in PvP. Now, of course, all of you know Ryan and Kim So-bin. So they are both relatively strong in PvP. And of course, Ju Shi-yun. Alright, Gabriel, occasionally, there are some teams that run him. It's a him, yes, I know, it's a trap. But apparently, I don't see him much in PvP. I think it's really niche, depending on what kind of setup you want to go for. But these 2 soldiers, we're gonna have them in the future. Apparently, the shield soldier from the administrator and the administrator soldier. Once the banner comes out, probably these 2 are going to be the ones that most players would want to pull for. Their deployment cost is relatively low at 2, and they are both SR rarity, so they are going to be quite easy to build for sure. And lastly, we have the grade R and N employees. Alright, so they are still used in PvP occasionally. So I'm sure all of you have seen them before. We have Horn, we have Irie, we have Hirose Aki, we have the Shieldman guy, we have Sparrow, Woodpecker, Cindy, and the Stormtrooper black color guy. Alright, so yeah, these are the top units that are still being used in Korea today. Definitely, you can use this as a reference. Now, keep in mind, just because the units that you own, the units that you plan to build do not belong in any of these tier lists, doesn't mean they are useless. Alright, it's still, tier lists are supposed to be meant as a reference. They are not supposed to be meant as an accurate depiction of who you should build. You know, don't stop yourself from building your favorite waifus, your favorite lollies, your favorite husbandos. If you love Kim Chul-so or whatever, go ahead, build him. Make him the strongest character you have in your roster. Alright, let me know what you guys think of all the characters listed here. As always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.